Welcome to Morristown, my hometown, a small city in New Jersey. This historic town is settled in the heart of the Garden State. It is vibrant with wildlife and home to beautiful animal species, lush plants and grasslands, and a bustling town life. Unfortunately, Morristown and the entire state have been the victims of some devastating events influenced by global warming in recent years. From monstrous hurricanes to blizzards and heat waves, the city and ecosystem are having to adjust to ever-shifting climates. In this video, we will explore the causes, effects, and strategies for combating these changes. Morristown holds a great history within its walls. Settled in 1715, this was a known site for George Washington's Continental Army in the winters during the Colonial War. With many sites still preserved to this day or even made into museums, the historical traces run deep across the city. Morristown and the state as a whole have also been major agricultural producers in the Northeast Mid-Atlantic region. They are notoriously large producers of dairy and produce, along with fruits and other types of seasonal vegetables and crops. The agricultural industry is one that is particularly vulnerable to climate change. Flooding, soil damage, and erosion could have devastating effects on the state's economy, which generated roughly $1.5 billion from farming in 2022. Morristown is also filled with many scenic parks, lush grasslands, and an abundant assortment of beautiful tree and plant species. The temperate climate and four-season weather allow these plants to thrive and flourish, making for beautiful springs and falls. In these ecosystems, there are plenty of animals that call them home as well. These parks house ducks, deer, geese, all types of birds and squirrels, bears, just to name a few. Unfortunately, the shifting climate has begun to take a toll on these ecosystems. The two major hurricanes of the 2010s, Hurricane Irene and Hurricane Sandy, could be foreshadowing for other events to come. While Morristown was not affected by Sandy as drastically as the coastal cities were, both hurricanes caused detrimental effects to businesses, town infrastructure, and people's homes. Schools had to be closed for multiple weeks. Residents were rushed to evacuation shelters, and some businesses never even recovered. Similarly, the year before, New Jersey harbored another tropical storm, Hurricane Irene. This one was better in some aspects, as it was not nearly as destructive on the surface. However, much of the state was overcome with mass flooding. Many families were displaced from their homes, cars were stranded, and again, evacuation shelters were filled with people seeking safety. Climate change is projected to increase precipitation as well in New Jersey from 4% to 11% by 2050. This could lead to more frequent and severe flooding, similarly to what we saw during Hurricane Irene, as well as heavy snowstorms in the winters. However, within the overall increase in precipitation, the patterns are also changing, causing longer and more pronounced dry spells throughout the year between the heavy downpours. The town's current infrastructure may not be able to handle the increase in precipitation and potential flood risk, putting citizens, residents, and businesses at risk. Consequently, the summers have also become more and more prone to extended dry spells, and the inconsistency in the climate is becoming more and more of an issue for maintaining crops. These drought periods lead to harsh summers for many plant species as they become exposed to prolonged drought conditions and increased heat. Oftentimes, this is the time of year where the once vibrant greens around the state shift to a lighter brown, more lifeless appearance. Unfortunately, Morristown will be prone to harboring more of these types of events going forward due to the steadily increasing global temperatures. One of the consequences of warmer temperatures is the increased probability of tropical storms, and if they are anything like Sandy, it will be extremely difficult to continuously rebuild infrastructure and pay for these restorative projects. Additionally, the temperature rise will lead to more of the state being prone to various health risks. Residents of Morristown have to plan and prepare accordingly for the onset of these events and changes. For one, the steadily rising temperatures pose great health risks, as increased heat exposure can lead to heat stroke, arrhythmia, heart attack, or failure. Considering that this is a largely agricultural region of the country, all the farmers and workers who will be outside during these extended periods of time during the hot summers will need to be aware of this and plan accordingly. Additionally, those tasked with rebuilding and fortifying the infrastructure, such as construction workers, that will be or have already been affected by various weather events, will also need to consider this. In addition, the increased precipitation and longer dry spells are likely going to cause an increase in flood risks. As a result, water supplies, as well as feeding crops for cows and other types of livestock on different farmlands, can be compromised and contaminated. Not only would this affect the cows, but this would also likely snowball into affecting humans as well. If we are consuming contaminated produce from grocery stores, this will cause the residents and consumers to have an increased risk of contracting disease as well. Similarly, the beautiful ponds and parks can experience similar effects, as flooding will increase erosion and amplify the spread of waterborne illnesses. So how do we mitigate the effects of climate change in Morristown? One strategy is to build higher establishments on higher ground or platforms to protect against flooding and minimize water damage to both residential areas, government buildings, and businesses. This approach has been used in beach towns and coastal areas after Hurricane Sandy and could be effective in other areas of the state. This would take lots of funding, however, and could cause inconveniences that people may not be willing to sacrifice just for projected events. One will also have to consider what we would do with all the buildings that have not already been elevated. Is there a way to safely and non-destructively create elevation or a platform underneath them without completely uprooting and destroying the building and its structure? We also need to increase the availability of high-quality irrigation and water supply sources to help farmers maintain the health of their crops during drought periods. The ability of farmers to irrigate their fields most efficiently after heavy downpour is critical to ensure that the crops do not get overwatered and drown. Additionally, being able to store excess water 4 times of increased drought or prolonged drought could be very beneficial as well. Another potential strategy could be indoor farming, where climate can be controlled, which may be effective for certain crops, such as blueberries or other types of fruit, to combat skyrocketing temperatures across the state, especially throughout the spring into the summer. Other strategies, such as zero-till farming, may also become more popular, as it has been found to increase harvest production as well as maintain soil health and quality, which can very easily be compromised due to changing weather. Climate change is affecting us all around, both locally and globally. This video covers just one small town in New Jersey, however the effects are everywhere. Increasing our awareness of both the causes and the strategies can help us prepare for these events, as well as protect ourselves from the health risks that they bring. In order to maintain our beautiful planet, we need to take action to protect and cherish it. So what shall we do to work to combat this? By understanding the effects of climate change on Morristown's ecology, climate, and community, we can work to develop new strategies and technology to adapt with the environment. By mitigating the impacts, we can create a more sustainable future across the globe. Let's protect our hometowns, our states, and our Earth so that we can forever enjoy its glory.